Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Kurt Cobain, born Kurt Donald Cobain, February 20, 1967 to April 5, 1994, was an American musician, singer, songwriter, and artist, best known as the lead vocalist, guitarist, and primary songwriter of the influential rock band Nirvana. Widely regarded as one of the most iconic figures in modern music history, Cobain's work helped define the grunge movement of the early 1990s and shape the sound and attitude of a generation. Early life: Kurt Cobain was born in Aberdeen, Washington, to Wendy and Donald Cobain. From an early age, he showed a keen interest in music and art, often drawing and listening to bands such as the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and the Melvins. However, his childhood was troubled. His parents' divorce when he was 9 deeply affected him and fueled feelings of alienation that would later permeate his lyrics. Cobain began playing guitar as a teenager, and his passion for music grew as he immersed himself in the local punk scene. He admired bands like Black Flag and the Sex Pistols, whose raw, rebellious energy influenced his future sound. Formation of Nirvana in 1987, Cobain formed Nirvana with bassist Chris Novoselic in Aberdeen. After a few drummers, they eventually settled on Dave Grohl in 1990. The band's debut album, Bleach, 1989, released by Sub Pop Records, was a gritty, underground success within the indie rock community. Their breakthrough came with the release of Nevermind in 1991, which included the anthem, Smells Like Teen Spirit. The album unexpectedly catapulted Nirvana to international fame, displacing pop icons on the charts and bringing alternative rock into the mainstream. Cobain, only in his early 20s, became the reluctant voice of Generation X. Artistry and impact: Cobain's songwriting combined raw emotion, vulnerability, and social commentary. His lyrics often explored themes of pain, confusion, identity, and disillusionment, reflecting both his inner struggles and his critique of society. Despite his fame, he resisted commercialism and felt uncomfortable with being idolized. Nirvana's third and final studio album, In Utero, 1993, was a darker and more abrasive work, intended as a reaction to their sudden stardom. It included songs like Heart-Shaped Box and All Apologies, which displayed both Cobain's intensity and his poetic sensitivity. Personal life: in 1992, Cobain married Courtney Love, frontwoman of the band Hole. The couple had one daughter, Frances Bean Cobain, born the same year. Their relationship drew intense media attention, marked by both affection and turmoil, exacerbated by their struggles with substance abuse. Cobain battled heroin addiction and chronic health problems, as well as severe depression. The pressures of fame, artistic integrity, and personal demons took a heavy toll on him. Death and legacy: on April 5, 1994, Kurt Cobain died by suicide at his home in Seattle, Washington, at the age of 27. Joining the so-called 27 Club, a group of legendary musicians who died at that age, including Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison. His death sent shockwaves through the music world and left millions of fans mourning. Despite his short life, Cobain's influence has endured for decades. Nirvana's music continues to inspire artists across genres, and Cobain is remembered as a symbol of authenticity, rebellion, and emotional honesty. In 2014, Nirvana was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, solidifying their place in music history. Legacy and culture: Kurt Cobain remains an enduring icon of the grunge era and a tragic representation of the cost of fame and artistic sensitivity. His music, fashion, flannel shirts, ripped jeans, thrift store style, and introspective lyrics continue to resonate with new generations. Cobain's voice, both literal and metaphorical, still speaks to anyone who has ever felt misunderstood, vulnerable, or out of place. Musical style and influence. Kurt Cobain's musical style was a unique blend of melody and aggression, fusing the raw energy of punk with the emotional depth of pop and the heaviness of metal. His guitar playing was characterized by simple but powerful riffs, distorted tones, and an instinct for catchy hooks that made Nirvana's music both accessible and deeply personal. Cobain often wrote songs that juxtaposed soft, melodic verses with explosive, distorted choruses, a dynamic that became the hallmark of Nirvana's sound. This contrast is especially evident in songs like "Smells Like Teen Spirit," "Come As You Are," and "Lithium." His voice, a mix of fragility and ferocity, conveyed genuine emotion. From anguish to tenderness, often within a single song. Lyrically, Cobain was introspective and cryptic. He drew inspiration from his personal pain, his disdain for societal norms, and his empathy for outsiders. Many of his lyrics addressed themes of identity, alienation, gender issues, and hypocrisy, but he often avoided direct explanations, preferring to leave his songs open to interpretation. "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not," he once said, a statement that summed up his artistic philosophy. Cobain's music also carried a sense of irony and dark humor, reflecting his complicated relationship with fame. Songs like "In Bloom" mocked the very fans who misunderstood Nirvana's message, while "Serve the Servants" from In Utero confronted the pressures of success and the pain of his youth. "Teenage angst has paid off well, now I'm bored and old." Relationship with fame was something Kurt Cobain never sought. When Nirvana became a global phenomenon after Nevermind, he was overwhelmed by the sudden attention. He felt torn between his love for music and his discomfort with commercial success. He often criticized the music industry for exploiting artists and turning art into profit. Cobain's authenticity made him a reluctant spokesperson for Generation X, a generation marked by disillusionment and cynicism. He rejected the idea of being a celebrity and despised the media's obsession with his personal life, particularly his marriage to Courtney Love. His constant struggle to balance artistic integrity with public expectations contributed to his emotional turmoil. Art beyond music. Aside from music, Cobain was also a talented visual artist. He painted, drew, and created collages that reflected his fascination with surrealism and rebellion against conventional beauty. Some of his artwork appeared in Nirvana's album designs and personal journals. His notebooks, later published posthumously, revealed his creative process, sketches, lyrics, and deeply personal thoughts. Cobain also expressed a strong stance on social and political issues. He was outspoken against sexism, racism, and homophobia, advocating equality and acceptance long before such conversations were common in mainstream rock culture. He once wrote in Nirvana's liner notes, "If you're a sexist, racist, homophobe, or basically an asshole, don't buy our records." Final years and decline. By 1993, despite Nirvana's massive success, Cobain's health, both physical and mental, was deteriorating. He suffered from chronic stomach pain, which he tried to numb with heroin. The band continued to perform and even recorded the now legendary MTV Unplugged in New York session in November 1993. The performance showcased a softer, more vulnerable side of Nirvana, with haunting renditions of songs like "About a Girl" and "The Man Who Sold the World." Cobain's fragility was evident during this period. He felt increasingly trapped by fame and battled with addiction and depression. In March 1994, he was hospitalized in Rome following an overdose, which was initially described as accidental. Only weeks later, on April 5, 1994, he took his own life in his Seattle home, leaving behind a note expressing love for his family and deep frustration with fame and life itself. Aftermath and cultural impact. Kurt Cobain's death marked the end of an era, but his influence only grew stronger over time. Nirvana's music became a lasting symbol of grunge culture and the spirit of the 1990s. Albums like Nevermind and In Utero are now considered masterpieces, frequently listed among the greatest rock albums ever made. His death also sparked important conversations about mental health, addiction, and the pressures of fame, topics that were often stigmatized at the time. Cobain became an emblem of tortured artistry, but also a reminder of the human cost behind genius. Artists ranging from Eddie Vedder and Dave Grohl to Lana Del Rey, Billie Eilish, and Post Malone have cited Cobain as a major influence. His songs continue to resonate, his image remains iconic, and his words, both defiant and vulnerable, still echo in popular culture. Legacy. Kurt Cobain's legacy extends far beyond his brief 27 years. He redefined what it meant to be a rock star: raw, real, imperfect, and honest. His music bridged underground and mainstream, bringing authenticity to the forefront of popular culture. Nirvana's success also paved the way for countless alternative and indie rock bands. Today, Cobain is remembered not just as a musician, but as a symbol of artistic purity, emotional truth, and resistance to conformity. His songs, filled with longing, pain, and beauty, remain timeless reflections of the human experience. Chronological timeline of Kurt Cobain's life and career: 1967 to 1984. Early years: February 20, 1967, Kurt Donald Cobain is born in Aberdeen, Washington, to Wendy and Donald Cobain. His father works as a mechanic, and his mother is a waitress. As a child, Kurt shows early artistic ability, drawing cartoons, painting, and playing drums on household items. 1976, age 9, his parents divorce, an event that leaves a deep emotional scar. Cobain later described it as the point where his happiness ended. During his adolescence, Kurt becomes increasingly rebellious and withdrawn, spending time sketching and listening to bands like the Beatles, Black Sabbath, and the Sex Pistols. He struggles in school and moves between relatives' homes, often feeling unwanted and misunderstood. 1985 to 1989, early musical beginnings: 1985, Cobain meets bassist Chris Novoselic, and the two begin playing together in small local bands. Influenced by punk and indie rock, they experiment with different sounds before forming Nirvana in 1987. The band plays at small venues in the Seattle area, part of the growing grunge scene that included groups like Soundgarden, Mudhoney, and Melvins. 1989, Nirvana releases their debut album, Bleach, under Sub Pop Records. Recorded on a shoestring budget of about $600, the album showcases a heavy, raw sound and garners underground success, though not yet mainstream. Bleach establishes Nirvana as a promising force in the alternative rock world. 1990–1991, the breakthrough: in 1990, drummer Dave Grohl joins Nirvana, completing the classic lineup. Nirvana signs with DGC Records.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.